Welcome, everyone. It's coming up on 1 o'clock here. We're going to give everyone just another minute or two to trickle in, and we'll go ahead and get the ball rolling and get this started. All right, we'll go ahead and get going here. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another installment of our webinar series. Glad to be back. Had a little hiatus. The last one was performed by Mike Maddox, and I was, be honest, a little thankful for the relief, but at the same time, I'm glad to be back with everyone. I'll be doing the next couple. We've made some adjustments to our schedule. We'll be doing these every 2 weeks throughout the summer. We have these all scheduled out well through August, and I'll probably continue them even into the fall here. But certainly through the summer, we have a webinar every 2 weeks coming on various topics. I want to thank you all for joining us and cover a couple of housekeeping items here. First of all, we are recording this webinar. We'll be reposting it on our webpage for viewing after the fact. If you want to go back and take a look at a particular item, or if you have a colleague or coworker that might be interested, feel free to send them a link. This is all out there to try to help people navigate these challenging times we're in. So, please, by all means, leverage this not only now, but we are recording them and posting them for the future. Also, we will, all microphones are muted. We will be doing a question and answer via the Q&A chat. I am the only one presenting this, so I'll be truthfully ignoring the Q&A until the end of the webinar. So by all means, go ahead and put your questions in there, and I will do my best to address them at the end of the webinar. Those of you who may be existing ASK clients, you certainly have a wealth of other resources to reach out to as well. You can reach out to your your client technology manager. You can reach out to the folks on the help desk. There are a number of places where you can go to get additional information. Certainly I make sure I clear my calendar for an hour or two after these webinars. So if you've got a burning question and want a quick answer, feel free to give me a ring. My contact information will be at the end of the webinar. But please, leverage us with questions, concerns specific to your organization, things like that. Certainly Microsoft has done a remarkable job of making all of their various tools start to integrate, really work well together. But sometimes that can be kind of daunting, and sometimes you may need a little guidance. So, we're certainly here to help. And with that, we'll go ahead and get the ball rolling here. So we're going to be going over the rediscovering the power of Microsoft Outlook today. Outlook is often just considered just a mail manager, and there certainly does do that, but there's certainly a lot more that it can handle. So we're going to go over folders in Outlook, how to use them, what uses there are for them. Leverage the power of the to-do list, moving emails into to-dos, categorizing them, helping to prioritize your workday, as well as being able to even assign a to-do to others within your organization. We'll go through shared calendars, as well as some of the meeting poll and scheduling tools that are built into Outlook. And then we'll just go through some of the basics of an inbox, the focused and other views. We'll look at some of the quick steps, filtering mail, as well as moving an email message into OneNote. It can be a real game changer. And then we'll touch briefly on best practices and some etiquette regarding email. Now, I'm going to go through a lot of this with you and give you some suggestions, some ideas, some best practices. But at the end of the day, you've got to look at what is your role? How do you interact with email? What of these things make a lot of sense to you, and what of these things just don't really apply? There is no right or wrong way to utilize Outlook for email. mean, I guess if you didn't use Outlook for email, you'd kind of be wasting the use of Outlook. But other than that, I mean, there are so many different ways that people can leverage it and leverage it very effectively. I mean, there is a subset of users out there that are the zero inboxers, as I like to say, who really pride themselves on the fact that their inbox is empty. They deal with their emails, they file them, they organize them. And you know, if that works for you and your mentality, great, wonderful. By all means, it's certainly a very efficient way to approach email and managing email. I'll be truthful, I am not one of those zero inboxers. I utilize my inbox for a number of things. I'm copied on a number of emails, and I know, to be truthful, it's kind of a daunting task, but I have my own structure, my own methodologies for organization, which I'll share a few of them with you here. So again, there is no right or wrong way to do this. More than anything, I'm trying to show you the tools and go through how folks do leverage some of these tools. And maybe I'll give you some ideas, some suggestions on how you can, organize your day a little bit more, utilize some of these to, automate some manual processes, things of that nature. So with that, we'll dive into folders. So I think all of us have seen, this Outlook screen before, and the various folders along the side, your inbox and various other things. A lot of them are pre-created for you. Oh, one other item before I dive too far into folders. This is a live demo, so I will be bouncing between the Outlook online version, my local Outlook, as well as back to this PowerPoint. So there may be a couple little hangups, a couple little snafus as I bounce between these. There are certain items that can only be done in the local Outlook client that can't be done in Outlook web, and I'll do my best to address those. But I do want to mention that this is live and I will be bouncing around a little bit, so if you would be kind enough to bear with me. So with that, coming back to folders here, some of these are created by default by Outlook. Your inbox, your sent mail, your junk, your spam, those sorts of things are already there. Certainly you can just use the pre-created ones, but most people like to customize and organize their Outlook, for themselves. So at this point, I'm just going to bounce you over to, this is a demo account that I have for the online version of Outlook. You see, I've got a few emails in here, and there's basically just the general folders that come with these. Now, I have added a couple down here. Very easy way to add folders. You just right-click on your inbox or where you want to file the folder and create a new subfolder. Give it a name. Oh, and I've already created a pending, so we have the pending. Now, some people who are your zero inboxers will often have multiple folders here: follow up, deal with right away, things of that nature. And then you can just right click on an email and move to a folder. And then you file that email away in the pending folder, and it's gone from your inbox. It's in pending. You come over here to your pending folder, and there is that email. Now you can also have you can also do some automation on this, but again, use the folder structure how it best suits your workflow, your day. As I said, I was going to give you some examples. I'm a big believer in folders. I do a lot of filing with my Outlook. As you'll see here, I have a plethora of folders set up. And you'll see I've got a few with unread messages. I have some mail rules that just send some of the distributor advertisements and things like that directly into folders. Now, you do need to be a little cautious with this, as if you set up a mail rule where it automatically routes a mail to a folder, it's never going to hit your inbox. It's going to go right to that folder. You have to be conscious enough to go check that folder for any messages that you may need to address. So there are pros and cons to this. Again, this is something that is very personal. It's how you work, how you go about your day, and then use this structure to help structure your inbox to make it convenient and easy for you to use. Again, there is no right or wrong way to do this. So, again, folders can be a wonderful thing. And then we'll get into the mail rules here in a little while, and I'll show you how to write a mail rule so that they have a nice little wizard. It's very, very easy to do. And you can have a lot of conditions set with those mail rules so that your mail goes to places automatically. So these folders can be a real boon if you use them in a manner that works well for you. If you set them up and it's not intuitive to you, you've probably not thought it through properly, and you may want to go through and restructure your folders so it makes sense for you and your workflow. So now one of the most powerful pieces in Outlook, at least in my opinion, is Microsoft To Do. Microsoft To Do is a standalone piece of software, but it's so integrated with Outlook that, and I'll be truthful, I very rarely use it outside of Outlook. You can actually move an email into a task or a to-do, which then creates a list that you can use to prioritize your day, make sure that you don't miss anything. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I've gotten plenty of emails where, oh yeah, I'll follow up on that later, and I never get back to it. And moving that email into the to-do list is a very, very simple and straightforward process. And it also allows for you to keep that running tally of, oh yeah, that was that email I got yesterday that I really need to deal with. Let me go check my to-do list. Let me go deal with that. And then you can mark it off as complete and move on with your day. You certainly can, categorize your to-dos. You can also categorize emails, and we'll talk about that here in a moment. And you can flag your to-dos and emails for follow-up, as well as in the local Outlook client, you can assign to-dos to other people. It's one of those few things that I've learned that you cannot do in the Outlook web client. You can create the to-do, but as far as assigning it to others within your organization, you need to use the local Outlook client for that. So a couple of things. First of all, let's go ahead and let's say, hey, here's an email that we need to schedule something. So we need to do something with this. So first things first, we go down here and we create a task. Now again, I just right-clicked on the email and it brought up this menu. We click on Create Task. It will open up my day and the to-do list, and it adds please schedule as a to-do. I can then click here to view the email, or I can mark it off as complete. And again, I can click on it to bring up more information about it. So it's a quick and easy way of putting together a to-do list for yourself. Now, Microsoft To Do is also available down here next to your calendar and people. You have To Do, which would open up Microsoft To Do in the web page in web browser if it loads. Bear with me, I believe my son is on a video call with his teacher, so we're really taxing our internet connection here at the house. So let's see if I can get a To Do to load here for me. There we go. Okay. So now you can see those two tasks that we saw on my day are also here. You can click on the task. It brings up some additional information. You can add due dates. You can make it a repetitive task. Again, you can categorize it. You can add a file to it. And then you see the email right here in the to-do pane. And you can add this right to my day. If you've made it a task and then it wasn't in your day, you can then add it to my day in Outlook. So we're going to go ahead and back out to Outlook here. So I mentioned the categorization of emails. Again, if you right click on an email, once this loads, here we go, you can categorize that email. Now, they build you some basic categories. They really just color code them. Here's one that I've customized. You can come down here to manage categories, and it will bring up your category wizard where you can create a category, color code it, and create it, get rid of the old ones, and then you can help categorize some of the emails based on follow-up, who they're for. Often people are sitting in multiple roles within an organization, sometimes categorizing those emails based on the role. You may work on that role Tuesday and Thursday afternoons because it's something only requires a few hours a week. You may just flag those emails in the green category or rename that category as a role, and then and follow up on them there. You can also set those mail rules like we talked about, which we'll get to here in a minute, to get those filed in particular folders for you. So there's plenty of ways for you to flag emails or flag emails in Outlook for your organization, for how you're going to approach them, what's most important to you, what can wait, things of that nature. Again, there's a number of different ways to approach this, and really it comes down to what's going to work best for you. So again, if we wanted to create a category, we would just name it, pick a color, and click save. It's really that straightforward. There's not much more to it than that. And then in the email, you can categorize as high importance. It gives you a notification, puts it in red, kind of brings it up to your attention. So I did mention that we would be able to assign to-dos to other folks. I'm going to take you to the Outlook my Outlook local client here and take you to my task list. I've created a couple of tasks here. Here's one that I had to create a substantial number of quotes for PCs for people in my previous role. I could put start and end dates, again, update my percentage completed, or I could assign this task out to others. I could click assign task, and it would bring me up my to field. I would type in the email address of the person that I wanted to assign this to, and then send the task on to them, probably with a note here as to why I was sending them the task. Again, you can also flag it or categorize it if you have some corporate categorizations. I mean, I know that some corporations do have some a categorization mechanism where, yellow means a certain thing company-wide, green means a different thing company-wide, so on and so forth. So again, I'm not here to tell you what your corporate policies should be, just make you aware that there may be some. So again, this task list is very handy. You can very easily assign out those tasks to various individuals. This will integrate. This again integrates completely with Microsoft To Do. So I'm not going to save those changes. We'll minimize this. So Microsoft To Do is a very powerful tool in organizing your day, putting together your to-do list, looking at your day, prioritizing and organizing things. You can move your to-dos up and down based on priority and how your day progresses. So now move on. Another big productivity piece that a lot of folks use is the calendaring in Outlook. I know I'm using it constantly, and shared calendars are a very powerful tool. Especially within your organization, you should be able to request view of a calendar for pretty much anyone in your organization and be able to view their calendar and at least see if they're busy, if they're available. I know I refer to that regularly when trying to schedule meetings between myself, a client, and somebody in my security department as an example, or one of my high-end architects. It's certainly very easy to be able to pull up a couple of different calendars in Outlook and see who's available when and send out some dates to a client. Now we're also going to go into the meeting poll or find time capabilities within Outlook that really do a great job of helping with scheduling. So before I jump over into the Outlook web client, you'll certainly notice here all of the various calendars that are here. You can check them to turn them on and off so you can view them in the view pane here. And then I also will go through this all together at once, but there's also Find Time, which is a wonderful tool for finding availability. And you can send out an email with a number of different times in it, times and dates, and it reserves time on your and anybody in your organization's calendar while your customer or client or your outside parties vote on the various times, and then Find Time will schedule that appointment for you once everyone has voted. It's a great tool. We use it constantly. It's really, really handy for getting disparate folks together who all have busy calendars. So we'll bounce back over here to the Outlook web client and come down here to our calendar. And I'll go over just some of the real basics here as the calendar loads. Okay, so certainly, again, just real quick, go over some of the basics. We can view our calendars in various formats. We can look at it month, week, workday, day. So you basically can look at it for whatever time period you're looking at covering. I also have added this people section here where I've got my other demo user. I can turn that on, and it will also line up the demo user's calendar with mine to see when they're busy versus when I'm busy. If there's other folks that I want to add a calendar, they're trying to make this a one-stop shop so you can add your personal calendars to all of this. I'm going to leave that to the discretion of each individual company. My goal here, I just want to show that you can add a calendar from one of your coworkers or colleagues. You come over here to the Add from Directory, and you type in the name of the person. So I'm going to go ahead and add the demo lab administrator, and I'm going to go ahead and put that in my people section, and I'll go ahead and add that calendar. And now you'll see that that calendar has appeared here and is available for me to toggle on and off to view. So now that we've kind of gone over the basics of calendaring, let's use that find time tool to go ahead and schedule a meeting. So let's go ahead and schedule a new event here in Outlook. And we're going to invite my demo user 1 and my demo administrator. And we don't know exactly when we'd like to meet. So we're going to come up here and we're going to select find time from the 3 radial buttons here. And it's going to pull all 3 of our calendars and look for availability. And it's going to display that in the increments for however long we think our meeting is going to take. So let's just say this is a 1 hour long meeting and we want it for only work hours. We don't want it to find us times at midnight to meet. That's a little silly. And let's say we'd optimally like to meet on the 5th. Well, then we can go down here and look at all of the available times. And since these calendars are virtually empty because they're demos, you see we've got plenty of times here available. Well, first thing in the morning meetings, especially on Friday, are kind of brutal. So let's go ahead and give a 9 o'clock, a 10 o'clock, or a 1 o'clock option. And then we click next. And you can either put a location in for your meeting, such as a conference room or another location that you have built out in Outlook. Or for most of us nowadays, we're using Teams for our meetings. So we go ahead and make sure this is checked. We look at this, we can be notified as people vote on the poll. So this poll is going to go out to all of the people we've invited, and they're going to vote on times. Do we want find time to automatically schedule when the attendees reach consensus? I mean, it's certainly the easiest thing to do. And then do you want to hold the times on the calendar so no one overschedules that time that you've said you're available? So I recommend leaving all 3 of these on. Here are our 3 times, and then we add to email. So now it's going to create our email invite here. With the find time poll embedded for people to be able to click on and vote. So let's call this meeting time options and send that out. Send that out. And now you'll see that here on the 5th, I have 3 holds in the calendar waiting for the other participants to vote. Once the voting has completed, one of these will turn into a solid meeting like this, and the other 2 will disappear from my calendar and be freed up for additional scheduling. So again, it's a very powerful tool. It's a great way for you to schedule a meeting with a couple of folks within your organization and folks outside of your organization, because you can lock in those times within your organization with your people, and then give the folks outside your organization some flexibility as to when they'd like to meet. It saves so much back and forth via email and chat of, hey, are you available? Are you? Yeah, that can become a real mess. And find time has taken a lot of that right off of us and just allowed us to kind of automate the discovering the best time for a meeting with a bunch of disparate parties. So by all means, utilize this. It is a little bit of it is a plugin, but at the same time, it's certainly something that's available natively in Outlook. It may need to be enabled by your administrator. If you don't have it as an option, please bring it up to your IT administrator, or if you happen to be a client of ours, reach out to the guys in the help desk. They can certainly get find time enabled for you. It's a great tool. So now we've talked about scheduling and to-dos and things like that. Let's circle back a little bit. Let's circle back to the inbox and kind of look at some of the various things we can do with our mail just in our inbox. We're going to go over some of the focused and other views, conversation view, look at some of the quick steps. As I mentioned, that moving to OneNote, find options, and then talk about some mail rules. So we're just going to go through this lightly. Again, there's various reasons to use these and various reasons not to. So each one of these is to your discretion. Again, my goal here is to go over what's available to you. So first of all, you may have seen fairly recently, whether it's in the web view of Outlook or your local Outlook, above your email here has become focused and other. Microsoft runs a tremendous amount of heuristics and spam settings and spam scoring and filtering on email because, let's be honest, we're all inundated with email that we really don't want or need or didn't really request. It happens. So they've done a really good job of, if it doesn't completely classify or qualify as spam, but it's something that you normally don't interact with, it's probably going to be filed away in the other folder. Your focused folder is for things that you tend to interact with on a regular basis, emails from people within your organization, things of that nature. So most of us are working out of our focused folder and really don't leverage that other folder very often at all. I'll be truthful, I have to remind myself to check that other folder just to make sure there isn't something that's important in there that I need to deal with. So, certainly check that from time to time. I know that I was sent a form on behalf of one of my coworkers that got filtered into other. So certainly something just like your junk mail, you ought to check that every once in a while just to make sure there aren't legitimate emails in there. Something to be aware of. Take a look at that focused versus other. You may occasionally find an email that's useful in that other folder. Mentioned mail rules earlier. Would like to kind of get into some of these rules. When you right click on an email, you have this ability to come down here and create a rule. So I can always move messages from Kevin Meeker to a folder. That's the default that it brings up. And I can select a different folder. I could select this Kevin folder over here and just file it. Or I have options. So if I wanted to create just a generic mail rule, if an email comes in with any one of these conditions, subject includes, you get those advertising emails that are from vendors that you do need to read, but you don't want to deal with. You want to deal with on your time, not on theirs. If a subject includes a particular tagline that always comes in on those emails, you can then, say XYZ, you can then move that email to a folder that you've created for that particular vendor or that particular interaction. So you can have a number of these mail rules and you can organize the rules and have them run in different orders. You can even come in and apply these rules to your existing inbox. If you're kind of like me, where you have an inbox that's got a lot of emails in it and you want to try to filter some of them out, you can build a rule or two and run them against your inbox. So you also can add another action or add another condition. You can make these as complicated or as simple as you want. Now, my suggestion to do is keep it as basic as you can. Don't make a bunch of really complex or convoluted rules, because then you have to remember where that mail is going and remember to go check it. This is not to get rid of to empty your inbox for the sake of emptying your inbox. This is to empty your inbox for the sake of your organization and helping you with your workflow. So again, that's what all of these rules should be considered with in mind is, does this get in my way? Does this impede my productivity? If it does, how do I fix that? Can I get it out of my way? Can I move it somewhere? Can I have it automated so I don't have to handle this? Can I force it into a folder that I then set a task to check once a day at 4 p.m.? There are various different ways you can use these. So some other things that I wanted to also talk about is the ability to customize some of the buttons and some of the actions within the mail window. So within settings here, in fact, let me exit out of this and we'll go ahead and close our rules. If you come over here to your settings button, it's going to go ahead and bring up a search. And so let's see. We're looking for quick actions here. So these quick actions are ways for you to customize the buttons that appear on your email. You'll see here, let's see if I can move this. Nope, I can't. So you can mark up to 4 of these items to appear in your email, right in the description here. I wish I could move this out of the way, but it won't let me. You also, when you're viewing an email, you can include all of these various things as buttons along the top of the email. You can see them here on this email. Now these 3 dots will open up for all of these. And again, a right click on the email will bring up most of these as well. But if there's a few of these that you find you're using on most of your emails based on your workflow, activate them so they're right here with a quick button rather than having to go dig for that particular thing that you do with an email regularly. So you can customize, Outlook and customize what buttons are available for quick access within Outlook. You can even customize the toolbars at the bottom of your email with various options with encrypt and save your drafts and things like that. Again, this is all based on your workflow, how you go about your day, what makes it more convenient for you. Let's save a click or 2 here or there, because if you're saving 2 clicks on every email, I mean, how many emails do you process on a daily basis? So there's a lot of little savers here. And again, it's less of a headache. It makes it a little easier for you on a day-to-day basis. So I think all of us have probably used this last one here one time or another, but you do have this search function at the top. You can search by email address. You can search by domain name, at justaskdemo.net, and see all of the emails from there. So if you've got a cluttered inbox or a lot of emails in there, you can use this search feature to find that email message that came in a month and a half ago from that guy that updated you on something that you forgot to write down, but you didn't delete the email. Well, as long as you know that person, you can go ahead and use your search and go dig that email up and find it for reference or record. So, certainly use those search features, and you also have the ability to search in different folders in different manners. So again, you can really refine that search to find what you're looking for if it's floating around in your Outlook inbox somewhere. So, certainly there's plenty of tools here to utilize. I mean, I've barely scratched the surface with a lot of these, but I'm trying to give some good tips and tricks on this. But again, there are plenty of productivity tools built into Outlook. So, utilize these rules, look, the mail rules, almost forgot about moving to OneNote. Glad I popped back to this. All right, let's just an example. I don't know about everyone, but I love OneNote. OneNote is a great note-taking tool. It's wonderful for meetings and things like that. And often a meeting agenda is emailed out. And so you can often go into a meeting with your OneNote open with that agenda already available to you by sending an email to OneNote. So I've got this email selected. We've got our OneNote icon here because I added it as one of my quick actions. I click on send to OneNote. It brings me up this little pop-up here, or pop-out, and it's authenticating. I want it to go to my notebook, and we're going to go ahead and save it. And so it saves my contents and then gives me an option to open it in OneNote. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So it's going to bring up OneNote Online, and it's going to do its best to format this email into OneNote. So it's got the title of please schedule, same title as my email. Shows who it was from, who it was to, the date it was sent. Gives all of the information from the body. It gives you a nice start on, if this had been an agenda for a meeting, this gives you a very nice start to start your meeting off with. So again, OneNote is a great tool. You also can share OneNotes amongst people in your organization. I may very well save that one for another webinar, but OneNote is an excellent tool for note-taking built into the Microsoft stack. And again, it very easily, as we've seen, integrates nicely with Outlook. So you can use that sending to OneNote and then share that OneNote out with various resources within your organization. Plenty of uses for that. All right, so with that, now let's move on to some of the best practices in Netiquette. I'm not here to be the Outlook police. I'm not here to tell you what your relationship is with the person that you've been exchanging emails with. But in general, if you get an email that's out to a number of individuals, unless your reply is pertinent to all of those individuals, don't use the reply all button. Reply to the original sender with the pertinent information for that sender. There's a lot of back and forth. A lot of emails are generated because people reply all to everything. And I know, copying everyone to make sure everybody is on the same page is great. And certainly that is appropriate in certain circumstances. But just think about it briefly before you use that reply all button. Certainly if you got the email via a distribution list, I know at ASK, we have a all ASK distribution list. And if an email is sent to that, somebody replies all, and all of a sudden everybody in the company is getting the reply all, and there's this big back and forth, and hundreds of emails are generated that aren't necessary. Other items, most of you are at least in some way, shape, or form leveraging Microsoft Teams. Depending on the notification or what message you need to get out, it may be appropriate to mention people in Microsoft Teams in the various team channels or in your all company team. Those at mentions work with distribution lists. You could at mention the all ASK email address in our Teams, and it notifies everybody in ASK that they have a notification in Teams, and they can go read whatever note I wrote. So email is not the only way to broadcast out that message. So, look at the tools that are available to you and select the appropriate one based on the circumstance. And then smiley faces, emojis, GIFs, things of that nature. In general, we are professionals. We are business users. We should, in general, keep those out of our emails to the best of our ability. Now, there are exceptions to that. I certainly know that a lot of us build a lot of very close relationships with our distributors, our vendors, our customers, our clients, and certainly only you know what that relationship is. And there may be sometimes that it's absolutely completely appropriate to share with emojis and GIFs and things of that nature. But in general, keep those out of your business communications. I mean, a little smiley face at the end after you've established a really good rapport with somebody's one thing. A page and a half of GIFs is a completely different animal. So, be judicious. This is a business email account. So, again, in general, I try to stay away from those fun things. I leave those for Facebook. I leave those for my communications with my friends and family after hours. In general, for the most part, GIFs and emojis don't have a whole lot of place in business communication, in my opinion. So everybody's different. I'm not here to say that you're wrong if you disagree with me. Every business has their own policies and their own methodology on things. So, but in general, be very judicious in your use of these. This is not, again, we're not on Facebook here, guys. So, keep that in mind when you're typing and editing your messages. So again, look at that reply all. Does everybody who was sent this email really need to see my reply? Is there another mechanism for me to notify people where I don't have to blast it out in email? And then, again, know your audience when it comes to the fun stuff, the GIFs, the emojis, things like that. Again, they can really add a lot of lightness to an email, but at the same time, you really have to know your audience to dive into that. All right, so with that, I'm going to go ahead, as usual, provide some additional resources. I mean, we here at ASK, love the Microsoft stack and are well versed in it. So if you have any questions, regarding what we talked about today, please feel free to reach out to us. We are still maintaining our COVID Resource Center. It'll be up on the toolbar for the foreseeable future on our website at justask.net. This, as well as all of the previous webinars we've done, have been recorded and posted there. Microsoft still does have that remarkable YouTube channel and document library. They've got a lot of really good tips and tricks on Outlook there. Your IT staff, once again, they should be fairly well versed in Outlook. They should be able to help you with a lot of the functionality. Certainly the why can't I's. You don't have find time as an example. Your IT staff may need to go in and help you with that. But that's a pretty easy thing. And then Microsoft is still running their E1 licensing promotion. If there are a few of you on here who are not using Outlook for Microsoft or not using Outlook today and would like to, you can get a trial license. I believe it's still a 6-month trial. So that's certainly still out there and available. And to be truthful, folks, I did a lot of research before this webinar. And I mean, some of my Google search terms were as simple as Microsoft Outlook tips and tricks. And I found a couple of really good sites and really good articles that gave, 5, 7, 10 tips and tricks that worked for that particular individual. And I was able to take away 1 or 2 of them. Oh, that's a pretty good idea. I like that. So there's a lot of really good information. A lot of people have a lot of opinions on Outlook. And, I guess I'll leave you with, at the end of the day, it's your tool to manage your mail, to manage your calendar, and to manage your schedule. Use it the way that best works for you. There are lots of tools out there, lots of components that you can utilize, and that's my goal here is to just kind of open your eyes to the possibilities. But at the end of the day, it's what makes you more productive, what makes navigating your email not fill you with dread. Whatever works for you is the best way to utilize Microsoft Outlook. So with that, I really certainly hope that you will join us next week, or I'm sorry, 2 weeks from now. That's right, we're on to a bi-weekly schedule now. So on the 16th, I'll be doing Microsoft Teams Part 3, live events and stream. In fact, that's how we're presenting this webinar today, is in a live event. And we'll be posting the recording out of Microsoft Stream. So we'll get into the nitty-gritty of that and show the capabilities of the live events, what it can and can't do, and then how to access those recordings via your Microsoft Stream deployment. And that'll be at 1 o'clock Tuesday the 16th. So with that, I'll leave my contact information up here because certainly I do try to make myself available after these webinars here. And I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the Q&A and see what we got here. Wow. Well, either I did a phenomenal job of covering everything, or I messed up and didn't turn the Q&A on. I'm going to assume the former, that I did a great job of covering everything and nobody has any questions. So I'm seeing no questions in the Q&A whatsoever. I'll go ahead and yammer on here for just another couple of seconds here, give anybody a chance to post anything if they'd like. Other than that, I hope everyone here has a phenomenal day and rest of their week. I hope you can join me again on the 16th. And certainly if you have questions about your utilization of Outlook or things that you'd like to do within it that you're just not sure how to maintain or make work, reach out to your client technology manager at ASK, give me a call. My number's there on the screen. My desk line is routed through to my cell phone now. So by all means, if you have any questions, feel free to give me a shout. My cell phone will ring. And again, want to thank everybody for attending. Really appreciate it. And I hope you've taken a few tips and tricks away. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks again. Bye-bye.